Greetings, this is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central this afternoon with another installment of Doc Ock at noon and 9. Let's get this party off to a good start by, first of all, going ahead, giving us a like if you're on Facebook, a thumbs up if you're on YouTube, and then spreading the word far and wide all through the land, up and down, to and fro. Secondly, let's go ahead and do our proverb of the day. And our proverb for today is another Moncala proverb, and it goes like this. To play Oware, one has to know the rules. And that is an Akan proverb. So we have an Akan proverb there for today. To play Oware, one has to know the rules. Ooh, because we do have some things going around today. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and read our story for the day. Story for the day is still related to science. We're in the science month right now. Excuse me. And today we're going to read the story of another pilot. Another pilot at the controls, captain at the controls. And a lot of people are not aware of how much time black folks have spent in the air. In fact, some people may even be surprised to find that there are black pilots out there. I happen to know some myself. From the age of 5 or 6, young brother knew that he wanted to be a pilot. And by the time he was a teenager, before he could drive a car, he was already flying planes, not biplanes, but single wing planes, as well as helicopters, etc. So this is something that all of us can do. We just have to set our minds to it. And it doesn't take a lot of materials or a lot of material wealth or anything like that. You can start young. So, all right. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and read today. What I'm going to do, I'm going to read the introduction to this book, the foreword actually to this book. Does this book have an introduction too? See, it's got a foreword, then it's got a preface, and then it's got an introduction too. Wow. This book has a lot of stuff before we get to the story. Okay. Actually, I'm going to skip the preface. I'm just going to read the intro. All right. So, let's go. Disco. Oh, and let me not forget the slideshow, of course. So yeah, so we're continuing on with our journey here, talking about black people in the field of science, invention, healing, and right now our focus is on people who spent time in the air, particularly women, like this sister right here, Stephanie Johnson, out of Cleveland, Ohio, first female captain of working for Delta Airlines on a commercial, doing those commercial runs. Introduction to this book, and this book is, let me go back 1 second here. This book is Soaring Above Setbacks, the autobiography of Janet Harmon Bragg, African-American aviator. Soaring Above Setbacks. Okay, so we're going to read about her. With the life stories of many African Americans being described today in terms of overcoming almost surmountable odds, there's a danger of our becoming inured to the superhuman strength many of these people displayed as they survived a brutal, racist American white society's determination to keep them in their inferior place. And indeed, too many were beaten down or severely limited by the racial mores and policies of 19th and 20th century America. Becoming an aviator in the early 1930s wasn't easy for black folks, and certainly not for black women. The legendary Bessie Coleman was forced to travel to France to learn how to fly because no flight schools in the Chicago area would accept her for the training she sought in 1920. Some 10 years later, when Janet Harmon Bragg decided to pursue flight training, things had not improved much, despite the success and renown briefly achieved by brave Bessie. Janet Harmon Bragg's journey through life began in Griffin, Georgia, a small town south of Atlanta. She was raised by parents she remembers as loving and strict, who believed that girls could do anything boys could do. This teaching was surely a prime resource to her when she decided to learn not only how to fly, but also how to maintain and repair airplanes under the instruction and care of fellow aviation pioneers John Robinson and Cornelius Coffey. Now, if you saw the story about Hubert Julian, the Black Eagle, you note in there that John Robinson was also known as the Brown Condor. And he met up with Hubert Julian over there in Ethiopia, and basically a fight broke out. It was some kind of Gunsmoke type deal, you know what I mean? Right, you know, breaking tables, busting chairs over people's heads, and pulling out knives and the like. Yeah, they really went to town over there. So this is the very same John Robinson, but now we're back in the U.S. in Chicago. Probably this is obviously before World War II. They had that route during World War II. They recently had become the first African Americans to graduate from the airplane mechanics course offered by the Chicago-based Curtiss Wright Flying Services, later named the Aeronautical University. Learning was valued by the Harmon family, who recognized that higher education was a way to escape the repressive molds and cracked prisms that Southern white culture used to limit black aspirations and achievements. Now, although we're talking about Chicago, there were a lot of Southerners that lived in Chicago. Certain sides of Chicago, black folks could barely walk down the street in those parts of Chicago without being accosted by some white folks. After what was an apparently happy and academically successful high school experience, Janet attended Spelman Seminary, now college, in Atlanta, and graduated with a degree in nursing. Her early experiences as a nurse revealed to her that Southern society did not make the effort to provide adequate health and medical care for African American patients, nor, for that matter, the high quality of nursing practice for which she had been trained at Spelman. She decided to leave the South, as did very many African Americans during and following World War I. All, like Janet, sought a place that would offer better opportunities and freer air to breathe. What they and Janet discovered in the North was an economic environment that offered relatively better paying jobs and a social environment that, while offering freer air, Nevertheless, it had its place for niggas. In segregated neighborhoods, limited access to public accommodations. With her training from Spelman and belief in herself, and despite the national economic catastrophe of the Great Depression, Janet Harmon Bragg moved ahead in the nursing profession, learned how to fly, founded and operated successful nursing homes, and particularly important to her, became the American mother to many Ethiopian students sent by the regime of Emperor Haile Selassie to the United States to obtain college educations after World War II. The reader will learn how Janet conquered the many obstacles flung in her path because of being African American and female. They will see how she used her energies for looking ahead and healing the wounds she suffered from racial bigotry and sexism. Even though she was the first African American woman to earn a commercial pilot's license, or pilot certificate rather, she was denied the opportunity to serve her country as a member of the famous all-female Women's Auxiliary Service Pilots, otherwise known as the WASP organization. She also was refused admittance to the Army Nurse Corps. She was highly qualified for both, and in the case of her application for service with the WASP, watched as less experienced white women were accepted. She lived a creative and successful life, in spite of the artificial barriers put in her path. Just before she died on April 11, 1993, in a hospital in Blue Island, Illinois, a suburb bordering Chicago on the south side, she told her cousin, Frances Moore, that they should share a room in the hospital and together write a book about their hometown of Griffin, Georgia, and their happy life while growing up. We will have so much fun, she said. Even though she had much to overcome and found little support in the wider American society, Janet Harmon Bragg triumphantly affirmed her right to be the kind of achieving human being that she was. Reading about her remarkable life may help inspire others to do the same. And this was written by Theodore W. Robinson, the series editor of the African American Pioneers of Aviation at the Smithsonian History of Aviation series. So that's all we're going to read about Janet today. We're going to end right there. But as you can see, there are more stories to tell than just that of Bessie Coleman. Bessie Coleman was merely the tip of an iceberg. She was the what Sizwe Umkhonto, the spear of the nation. She was just the tip of the iceberg, the opening salvo, for there were numerous other African Americans that were also just as interested in her, if not more so, in flying. And so we're going to read a little bit more about her over the course of this week, but we're also going to read about a few other people that are involved in flying, and we're going to move into some other areas as well, from commercial flight and the flying of small aircraft into space flight. That's right. You know, space is the place, and we're going to have to go there, because otherwise I wouldn't be your ace. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap it up. You know what to do. Number one, give us a like if you're watching on Facebook. Number two, give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Last but not least, go ahead and subscribe to the Tubular Black Facts channel on YouTube, because yes, it's true, we have arrived. We're here to help you survive and even thrive, because we're not getting into no jive. Now, Esther, we're gonna just give a shout out to Esther, and we see Connie over there. How y'all doing today? I hope you also will check out the replay that I do. I always do a replay after we do our show on Facebook, where I share the same visuals that we had on YouTube on Facebook. So if you didn't get to the YouTube channel to see what we were doing there, that's how you can see it. So check it out, and we'll check y'all. We'll be back. We'll be black tonight, 9 o'clock. This is Doc Ock at noon and 9, signing off. Peace out, y'all. With justice, of course. Anything less just ain't is just a mess.